Hello, everybody, and welcome to the start of qualifying for the Dutch Grand Prix for the Kenco Formula One League. And today I'm joined by Sam. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Kenco Formula One League. And this evening we are in the Netherlands at the Zandvoort circuit.
Yeah, Zandvoort, a track we have not seen before, so it'll be interesting to see, well, not only how the cars perform, but also, like, what sort of times people are saying.
It definitely, obviously, there's no real world sort of data to compare this race to, so it's going to be a real race of first, so it's going to be interesting to see.
Now, we've got about four drivers, I believe, that aren't starting today's qualifying session and may not start this race this weekend. So, first of all, what does that mean for the Constructors' Championship? And second of all, is that the wear on the cars? Obviously, for the league's sake, people have dropped out, but for entertainment's sake, is that the wear on the cars starting to become apparent?
Yeah, that's definitely a potential. Obviously, we're not too far into the season. We're not at the peak of reliability yet, but these cars are under so much stress, and there may have been some issues between the practice and this qualifying session. So we'll have to have a little look out on that and see whether we see similar patterns in the future.
Both the McLaren cars already out on track. That's good news for them. One of the Alfa Romeos also coming out on track. That's it's interesting to see the McLarens being the first two cars on track. It really them setting a precedent, isn't it?
Yes, it sure is. And in previous qualifying sessions, the two McLaren guys haven't been the strongest, with Josh not getting out of Q1, I don't believe yet. So it's going to be interesting to see whether the McLaren guys can get out today.
Yeah, as we said, only 16 participants here in qualifying, so that basically makes qualifying one redundant. There's only one position for elimination.
Yeah, you don't want to be that one guy not getting into Q2. That's going to be a real shame for them. So fingers crossed they're all going to get some good laps in. But there will be someone in P16. We'll have to wait and see who it is.
Currently, it's last week's winner, Robbie Welsh. What a shock that was.
That was a shock. We weren't expecting Robbie to finish that race in P1, but we saw Max Chapman in the Alfa Romeo crash out, and that cost him that race win. And Forbes capitalized on that, and he came in and he got that race win for Renault. So great effort for him.
And already into turn 4 goes the McLaren of Adam Forbes, number 13. Lucky number for him, I think, number 13. So, everybody has one, but usually that's an unlucky number, so.
Yeah, as they say, unlucky for some, but also lucky for some other people. So, maybe it'll be his lucky day and he will get into Q3.
Oh, Forbes running a little bit wide there into turn 8, and he destroys one of the meter boards. That's not going to be good for the other drivers.
Obviously these meter boards are what the drivers are using to get their braking points, but yeah, that won't be helpful for the other guys.
Since Forbes is the first man out on track, you see all of his sectors will go purple, and sector 1 and 2 have now gone green because somebody behind them has set a quicker time. So I believe that's probably one of the Alfa Romeos. We did see Chapman coming out, but Robbie Welsh is behind him. Forbes goes P1, obviously not there, and Welsh 2.5 seconds in front already into already 2 minutes into this qualifying session, and 2.3 second gap already formed. So Meech going fastest by about 1/10. A little bit quiet at the moment on the track, but the car's really showing their performance right now.
Yeah, most definitely. Obviously, Adam Forbes and McLaren first guy to set his lap. That bank lap is so important for these guys to improve on. So hopefully he'll be able to do that in further runs. But yeah, Forbes, he's gonna have to pick up the pace. But I've just been corrected and saying that Josh in the McLaren has got out of Q2. Has got out of Q1 once in Australia, so that is my bad. But I do remember that now in the wet qualifying, he did get out of Q1.
Yeah, it's Robinson and O'Mara both skip over the sausage curb coming into turn 13. That's the hairpin just before turn 12, the hairpin on the right before the left-hand slow corner. And there's already a yellow flag in sector 3. I'm not sure if that's someone spinning out or someone's just going a bit slow, probably trying to get a good launch onto that lap. But one of the corners that will have the most action this weekend is turn 1. It's actually got a name. It's called Tarzanbocht, or however the Dutch people pronounce it, Tarzanbo, whatever. But yeah, that is the first corner, and it's probably the hardest braking point in the track other than that turn 12.
Yeah, it's interesting to see we've come to a track that's got corner names, but that's always great to see. It's always usually representative of a good track, and we know how great Zandvoort is to drive around. But yeah, we've got two familiar guys, P1, P2, the two Alfa Romeo boys, with Max Chapman about 2/10 quicker than Castle.
Well, I think that some of the drivers may just be holding back in this qualifying 2 session. Obviously, only one driver will be eliminated, so not much on the line for them.
Yeah, and as we saw last week in qualifying from the Red Bull driver of NOP, you do not want to waste this qualifying session. The drivers know that there's only one position that's going to be eliminated, so they don't want to be making too many risks.
Yeah, especially as we see one of the person who took a risk last week and it didn't quite pay off, Jay Robinson going P10. He'd be safe in Q2 as well. So is that a competitive lap time for him?
Well, we've got P13, 14, 15, and 16 not setting a lap time yet, so there's still a little time for that to change for the Alpha Tauri driver, but we'll have to wait and see.
And really interesting strategy here from Joel Foxhall. Q1 on the mediums. Yeah, he seems confident with that only one elimination zone participant.
Yeah, you know, that's a pretty decent strategy if you think that you're not going to use the medium tyres in Q2, because then you've always got that extra set of soft tyres to use in later qualifying sessions. So that's an interesting strategy from the Racing Point driver, but it could work out for him. We'll have to wait and see.
We see him preserving his engine mode and fuel there. Coming into that turn 12, we did talk about both the McLaren and the AlphaTauri skidding their floor on there. We see one of the Williams, Andre Abreu, going slow into sector 3, coming around the final corner, turn 15. It's coming around, trying to get on the inside so you can get the DRS as soon as you can. Open that rear wing up for the extra 7 kilometers an hour of speed down the straight. Joel opens it up a little bit slow, but he starts his qualifying lap into T1. Big lockup for him. He's going to turn down the inside. He's going to come round the outside, try and get in the toe of the Williams driver, but one of the Renaults has just come out just in front of the Williams driver, so that may slow him down. Another lockup for Joel down into turn 4. Joel is now back on that power. The Renault driver is going to let him pass. Joel, the only person out on the medium tyres so far. Through turn 6, into turn 7, the winding right-hander of turn 8. Tricky braking point of turn 9 coming up here. If you get stuck on the outside, you're stuck like that Williams just did. Into turn 10, clipping that apex very nicely. Getting himself on the power. That Williams has backed out now. Coming through turn 11, Joel locks up once again, but he's going to try and get on the inside. Get into that DRS as soon as he can. Opening that rear wing once again. And getting on the power for turn 12. Again, trickiest braking point on the track. If he hits your floor, big lock up there for Joel. Coming down the inside, he's going to get on that power as soon as he can so he can get open himself up for turn 14, which is the right-hander. You want to keep it as tight as you can, but keep as much power on as you can as well. Through turn 15, onto the pit straight. Opening that rear wing once again. And that's a lap of Joel. He puts himself P10. Not a very good lap from him.
No, obviously everyone else on the soft tyres and he's on the medium, so that's sort of expected. But, you know, it's interesting. We keep seeing this issue of lots of lockups from the Racing Point driver. I'm not too sure what that's all about.
Makes you think that their setup maybe isn't just as tuned as they need it to be, and they're sort of using this more as like a not demonstration, like a practice session rather than a actual qualifying setup. Oh, sorry, session. I mean, that's probably evident by his P10, or sorry, now P11 on those medium tyres, probably trying to go for a race strategy sort of play out as well.
Yeah, that could be the answer to my question. It's just interesting to see that we've seen most tracks. Joel's been struggling with the lockup of the front tyres, but you know, mate, if that's, I don't really know how to explain it, to be honest with you.
Titan rounds the final corner. He's coming onto that back straight now. He opens his DRS and he's past the line and puts himself 9th. Wow.
Some from him.
Yeah, some interesting times though. I mean, the top 4 runners we really expect, obviously, with each one of them except Casper Knopp winning the previous 3 races. But P5 Hartley, he's doing well. He normally qualifies about P12.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot from Hartley in the AlphaTauri. He's got some nice quali pace, so it's good to see him up in P5, and hopefully he'll be able to propel himself forward in later qualifying sessions as well.
Yeah, and interesting strategy there from the Ferraris. Both going out at the same time. Do you reckon they're trying to get the toe, or they're just trying to Uh, just trying to maximize the time out on track.
Potentially, obviously, one of the only straights is the start-finish straight, so that toe will be useful there. But going through all the other corners, it's going to be the dirty air coming off the rear end of the guy in front is going to be really not good for the guy behind. So I don't know if the toe is really that much of an advantage around here. I personally wouldn't want to risk it.
Yeah, especially if there's a lot of mid-speed corners, namely turns 8 and 9, and then also we've also got turn 14 and 15. There are a lot of mid-speed corners, and we know the current car, the 2020 cars, they're not very good aerodynamically for those mid-speed corners, so they're putting themselves at a disadvantage, really, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for their first run, it could be worth the risk and just seeing whether they get any advantage from it. But being in P7 and P10, I wouldn't say it's a huge advantage. So I feel like next time around they'll do their own they'll do their own thing.
Now, this is really, really good, this 16-man qualifying one session for the McLarens. As you said earlier on, they've both only made it through into qualifying two once. And what does that mean for them, who pretty much are guaranteed a place? Well, one of them is guaranteed a place in Q2.
Yeah, obviously that's reassuring for one of the guys, but that's not how you want to be getting into Q2. You want to be showing your real pace. But you know, if the circumstances do arise, then hopefully they'll be able to benefit from it. But yeah, it does look like at the moment one of the McLaren guys will be eliminated. But we still got 7 minutes left in the session and still lots of time for more lap time.
Yeah, definitely. Salaman puts himself P5. Omar clips the wall there. See a little bit of his wing coming off the debris of that going onto the track. He slows down and it looks like he's going to come back in. But I think it's really interesting. Only two cars out on track. They're preserving their tyres at the moment, I believe.
Yeah, it's that sort of lull in qualifying that we're sort of used to in the middle of the session. They're just waiting for the last 3 or 4 minutes or so to come out and set their last laps. But it's going to be interesting when they all come out to see whether they got some clean air.
Yeah, with both the McLaren drivers at the back, you probably would expect Forbes to be coming out, and he is. He's on an outlap.
Yeah, they obviously it's going to be an inter-team battle between the two McLaren guys by the looks of it to get that place into Q2. So we'll have to see who comes out on top.
We go on board with Forbes, a man who is the only driver in that elimination zone. He is coming around turn 11 into turn 12 on that DRS straight. And what do you reckon he's thinking right now? He's the only man that can be eliminated, and all he has to gain is 3/10 and is safe.
Yeah, it's a sort of a pride thing, I imagine. He's only a few 100ths off his teammate in P15. He's gonna want to get that last place in Q2. So, but so is equally Josh and the other McLaren. So it's gonna be an interesting battle.
Yeah, we go on board with him. We're just going to have once again, like we always do, a silent lap on board of one of the cars so you can hear the beautiful sounds of that McLaren Renault engine. Yeah, and that's it. Amara came into the pits and yeah, didn't improve on his time, obviously, because no lap.
Yeah, unfortunate for the McLaren driver of Forbes not to improve on his time. He still has a little bit of time left in the session to potentially set another lap, but it's just about whether he has those tyres, those fresh set of tyres they also urgently need to get him out of Q1.
All is calm, all is bright. It's normally the words we hear at Christmas, but at the moment, it's the words we're hearing here in Netherlands.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet at the moment out on track. Only two drivers out there with Josh and Titan. They're all just waiting for that crucial time to come back out.
Yeah, like we said, as like we said before, only four. Well, sorry, not only four. Four of the drivers who are supposed to be participating today have fallen through. They've for entertainment value, they've had a mechanical issue or some sort that has meant they cannot qualify today.
Yeah, that is the case this week, unfortunately, in our qualifying session. But we do expect to see a few of them back in the race. We'll have to wait and see.
Another look up into turn 12 there for Titan this time, not Joel. With 3 minutes left in the session, Forbes has really got to get his move on. He's got to get another out lap and get that hot lap on, otherwise he's the one we're saying bye-bye to.
Yeah, it's quite a short lap round here at Zandvoort, about 1 minute 10 on average, so he might be able to adjust it, but it's getting very close.
Rounds turn 1, and yeah, he's P8, P9 for the sorry, not for the Mercedes, for the Ferraris. Salaman's out on track, he's on his out lap. Titan is on his in lap by the looks of things. Foxhole is wanting to improve, he's in P13 currently. O'Mara and Forbes, I believe, are also out on their laps.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the front four are gonna bother to come out again, which is sort of understandable. There's only a few guys trying to fight, but considering there's only one place where they will be eliminated today, that's not surprising. But it does look like Josh at the moment is still in P15, just outside of the Q2. The Q2 cutout zone.
Yeah, he can't improve. His teammate isn't out on an out lap, so looks like McLaren are just going to bite the bullet on this one. Take P15 and then take P16.
Yeah, it's a shame for Forbes that he's not going to be able to get out of Q1, considering there's only one guy not getting into Q2 today. But one of the McLarens are also through, so that's obviously some positive news there.
Yeah, you always have to look on the bright side of things, especially in Formula One, where the margins are extremely tight. But Joel now going out on the soft tyres, not on those medium tyres. Can he improve? His previous lap times were set on mediums, which I believe is why we saw him so low. But I think we were correct in saying that he was trying to practice for some race strategy laps.
Yeah, potentially, but he's guaranteed to get into Q2, so I wouldn't be surprised if he backs out of this lap. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, 6:10 slower than Chapman, who is. Oh my goodness, we just broken records, aren't we, Sam? Chapman P1 every race so far, and qualifying one, it hasn't changed. 6/10 behind Chapman, that would put him P7 as of now. Very tight between P6 and P7, didn't see that. 0.02 of a second, that's 2 milliseconds separating P6 and P7. Some really, really tight times in that midfield. Joel, I think, may have just backed out. He's now 1 second behind, and he may be going for another hot lap.
Yeah, by the looks of it, the McLaren of Forbes will not be coming out again, so everyone apart from Forbes is secured and into Q2.
Yeah, that's probably some team orders there from the Racing Point team. They've been told that they're safe and they don't want to waste those tyres on another in-lap.
Yeah, that is completely sensible and the right decision, in my opinion.
The other McLaren, the one in P15, he is safe, so he should probably come in at the end of this lap, but yeah, he's not going to get another hot lap, and he's currently 1.4 behind, so yeah, that looks like that'll be the end of qualifying one.
It is not a majorly exciting qualifying one session, but it's good to see that the McLaren of Josh getting into Q2, his second time in Q2, as he rightly said in the chat earlier. But yeah,
That's interesting there. We see Josh taking a very, well, interesting track line there as he came across off of that track. We'll go watch that again. We'll go watch again Josh coming across that track. It was an interesting line from him. So yeah, we see him just as he comes across here. It's a pretty nice line through there, but then clips the curb. Could have been a little bit better from him. And yeah, we just see he carries too much speed through that corner. Manages to make it around there, but yeah, he doesn't want to. Just comes along and manages to cut a little bit of that track.
yeah, he's just showing the fans a few things. No wonder. Yeah, nice replay.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to see what the drivers do. And one of the Haas already into the garage. I'm not sure what's going on there, but Maybe that's one of the last people to come from Q1, but there we go. That's the end of Q1, and there is your top 14. The other person who got through was, I believe, was Omara in that McLaren. Now, qualifying 2, we've basically just had qualifying 2, haven't we? So we've seen the pace of those drivers, and but it didn't mean anything before, and it means something now. So those drivers better be putting in better lap times than they have been doing before.
Yeah, this session is obviously going to have so much more value now. These are the guys fighting to get into Q3. They're all going to be wanting to get into Q3, so it's just getting that the most polished lap time in possible.
Yeah, nobody going out as of yet, so nobody wanting to get the first position on the track.
Interesting stuff. Obviously, you're not going to be wanting to be the first guy out. You're going to be wanting to be one of the last, just so you get the best track conditions possible. But we'll have to wait and see who bites the bullet first and comes out. And it looks like it might be the Renault.
Yeah, it's Renault of Robbie Walsh on those medium tyres, so, oh, the Haas late release there into the path of that McLaren, and 4 drivers already out on track, nobody else looking like they're going to come out, so we'll go on board with the Haas of Salomon. His teammate, unfortunately, has retired from the league, so we're going to have to find a replacement, which is why, if I get the handy little thing up, you can apply to be part of the Haas Driver Trials. That will be taking part next Thursday. Just contact myself, Sam, or Ian, and we will see if we can book you a place, like we said, next Thursday, the 4th of February. Do mind the typo in there. I believe it's February, where is the typo? But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, he had to drop out. So we see the only Haas driver in the competition on the track.
Yeah, obviously the lone Haas driver this weekend. Not going to be getting the most out of the Constructors' Championship, but yeah, it's down to one of you guys now to come and join this great league.
Yeah, well, we said earlier the tow may be a disadvantage, but well, 5 or 6 cars within a couple seconds of each other on this lap, then you know, what does that mean? Are they looking for the tow?
I don't know, really. They're maybe just experimenting, but yeah, I really wouldn't want to be that close to the guy in front of me. You're just going to get all that dirty air going through the tricky corners that you see here at Zandvoort. So I don't know. It's also, you don't want to be backing up majorly because that's going to cause issues with the guys behind. So it's a fine balance.
Especially when you've got drivers who are on their out lap and you're on your hot lap, people will be backing up into sector 3, that'll cause a yellow flag, then they have to back out, and then it's just one whole unruly process.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what the drivers are going to be wanting to avoid. It's going to, in the end, just hamper their times, and they don't want to be doing that. So yeah, I would keep a safe distance between the car in front of me.
Look, fastest man out on track at the moment is Salaman, the man who's been spectating. P5, but obviously no time setter. As of such, he set a fastest Sector 1 and Sector 2. He's quicker than Chapman, Robinson, Mitchell, Hanmore, all of the drivers who were on the outlap. He gets a massive snap of oversteer through there. He loses rear end that may throw his lap time off.
Yeah, it looks like coming out of turn 12, he had a huge amount of oversteer, which is not great, and he looks like he's coming into... No, he's going to finish his lap, but yeah, that's not great for him. A 1:12.9 is not how he's going to want to start Q2.
Yeah, and we see the majority of the drivers on the soft tyres, but a few on those medium tyres. There's been some talk in the paddock about which strategy was better. What would you do? What do you think the advantages around here are?
I don't know. It's Q2 is one of those sessions where you've got to watch the tyre choice and all the ones that are running either softs or mediums. But it looks like the majority of people are going to be running that soft. But I don't know. Zandvoort's it's a tricky one. The banking corners of turn 13 and 14, you know, that really takes out on the tyres. So it's really hard to tell. But I don't know. I'd probably go for the medium, I reckon.
Another big kick of oversteer on the run down to turn 14 for the AlphaTauri of Jay Robinson, and we saw that earlier with the Haas of Salaman. Shook as P1 with a 110 flat, and but we saw that with Salaman. Is the camber, I believe, is off camber for the turn 13? Is that throwing him off on the entry to the run down to turn 14?
Yeah, that's definitely quite possible. Zandvoort we can see is a very interesting track in the change in elevation and the off camber corners, as you said. So definitely, it's a very unique circuit in that respect.
Jay goes. Oh, Ian going P1. That's unexpected. We haven't seen him really shine in qualifying yet, but 109.4 from him. It's definitely not the greatest time, but for qualifying too, that's definitely good with himself. Put him 20 seconds above P9.
Yeah, that's great lap time from Hanmore in the Mercedes, but our old friend Max Chapman is creeping behind him. He's got a fastest sector one, and he's going to be wanting to get that P1 and Q2 as well.
Here he is, Chapman. We go on board with him. Fastest sector 1, as you said, personal best sector 2. Hanmore still has P1, provisional pole for now. Chapman rounds turn 15 onto the pit straight and puts himself on provisional pole.
Yeah, not too far off Hanmore actually. Just 1 point. Just a tenth off Hanmore is just a tenth off Chapman, so not a huge margin. I thought it might have been a bit bigger than that, considering the sector 1 time. But yeah, interesting from Hanmore to see him so far up.
Yeah, really, really good stuff from that Mercedes. We haven't really seen him perform in the races. Never mind in the qualifying sessions, but that's really good from him. I bet he's chuffed with that.
Yeah, I'm sure he's very happy with that lap. Different tracks suit different drivers' driving styles, so maybe this is the sort of track that suits Hanmore's driving style. We'll have to see.
And Meech and Nop have both overtaken him with only 0.004 of a second separating Nop from Meech. Both the Caspers very, very competitive today. But Hanmore, like we said, only 1/10 behind. Hartley going 0.4 behind, which, that means there's a big gap for P5 if anyone wants it.
Yeah, obviously, looks like it's going to be a interesting and very close battle for pole position by the looks of it at the moment. All 4 of them are on the soft tyre, so that's not the answer to our question. But yeah, Hanmore, Not Meech, and Chapman all look like they're potentially in the running for that pole position, which is a great thing for us to be able to watch today.
Meech's teammate Ben Mitchell, he comes into the pits also. He set a slower time than his teammate, and it's showing that maybe the track conditions are a little bit adverse. Some of the drivers are benefiting more than others.
Yeah, that is definitely possible. And as I said earlier, some drivers are going to prefer tracks like Zandvoort more with the sort of medium speed corners compared to other drivers. So maybe these guys are really liking that Zandvoort track, but others aren't so much. So we'll have to see whether that comes into play.
Yeah, we're just running through the constructors order in just a couple minutes, but for now we've got on board with the Williams Racing car of Andre Abreu. He's on his outlap. He's going to look to get out of that elimination zone, which he's currently sat down in the last position available. 15 of the 16 drivers are still in the session today. He is going to come through to turn 10 into turn 11. Get on that DRS, open it even on his outlap, just make sure he gets the most fuel efficient as he can. Into turn 12 and turn 13, the off-camber corner, as we said. And yeah, if you just go ahead and run us through his hot lap for 1 lap, please, Sam.
Yeah, definitely. As he approaches turn 13, this very interesting corner. You can see the banking here, and it's just an incredible corner to be able to drive. Going so quickly, so exhilarating. But going through turn 14, coming up towards turn 1, one of the heaviest braking zones, and the very, very sharp right-hand corner. So you need to really lose the speed as quick as possible, otherwise you're going to lose a lot of time. Coming through here, you see the off-camber corners coming through turn 2, and then turn 3, another very sharp left-hander corner here, as we've seen, sort of similar to turn 1, and that's a bit as he does, unfortunately, coming off turn 3, does spin, and it looks like he's lost his front wing.
Yeah, big spin there from the Williams driver, and I don't know, did he just get caught on that curb, I think? I think I may have caught a little bit of grass or something.
Yeah, that looks like he did go a bit too wide coming off turn 3, and he just spun up the rear tyres, and the car did not want any of it, and it just spun around, and unfortunately he did hit the barrier, so he's going to have to replace that front wing, and the team's going to definitely check whether there's any more damage.
That shows you how volatile some of these Van Zandvoort setters are with the off-camber corners. The ride height is really different to all the other tracks, and the team's still experimenting with that. But welcome to everybody who's joining us for the first time. This is the Kenco Formula 1 League. We are in round 4 of 4. Round 4. We're not doing... This is not the last race. Round 4 of 21, I believe. This week we're at Zandvoort International Circuit here in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, the home to Max Verstappen, and today home to Chapman, who sits currently in pole. He's won one of the last 3 races. He's been pole 3 of the last 3 races, so we'll see how he can do at the moment.
Yeah, Zandvoort is a great track to be watching, and it's just such an exhilarating track. There's always something going on. So yeah, it's a wonderful track to drive and also spectate.
I don't know if you can just go on board with Ben Mitchell down in P9. It looks like he's lost the entirety of his front wing, so no lap for him now.
Yeah, that's a shame for him. He may have done a similar thing to the Williams driver, which we saw previously. Maybe got a large stop of oversteer and just went into the barrier, which is quite easy to do considering how close you can see the barriers are to the track here at Zandvoort. But yeah, it's a shame for him. He's gonna have to box and replace his front wing.
That's going to be a crucial mistake there for the Mercedes team. 4.5 minutes left of the qualifying session. No doubt he'll have a chance for another lap, but not what you want when you're on the back foot already. P9, 1 off of the in danger position.
Yeah, definitely. It's not a great position to be in, but both the Williams and now the Mercedes have got to do the same thing, come in, replace their front wing, and hopefully get out in time for another lap. But interesting to see for me is Salomon Haas driver in P14 just hasn't looked like he's been able to set a proper lap yet. He's been on and off the medium tyres. He's now back on the soft. He just can't decide what tyre he wants to qualify on. Obviously, he thinks he can get into Q3, and this tyre choice is potentially going to affect his race. So it's going to be interesting to see, but it looks like the majority of the grid are now on the soft tyre.
Yeah, interesting, because we've had a word that the weather report says it once again gonna be wet for the race. So with no free tire choice, presumably, well, if it rains, if there's no free tire choice, then these drivers are all gonna want to qualify on the soft because there's no advantage for the medium tire.
Yeah, definitely. They've obviously been looking forward into the weekend, which is definitely a wise thing to do. So, as you say, if it's going to rain on Sunday, you may as well qualify in the softs because you're going to get that free tire choice on the race day because it's wet. You obviously can't run dry tires in a wet session.
Well, you can if you have the courageousness, but I think the smart decision would be to go on the wet tires. Otherwise, you'd be putting yourself at a severe disadvantage. And Abreu starts his second hot lap.
Yeah, as you said, you do not want to be doing that, but hopefully Abreu now and that Williams will be able to improve and not spin coming out of turn 3 and hopefully get a good lap in.
Yeah, he's locking up massively into the off-camber corner of turn 4, down through turn 5 and turn 6, which are the sweeping left and right-hander. Salomon promotes himself to P6. He was in P14. That's good for him, but bad for Middelfeld in that Renault, and Mitchell as well in P10 in that Mercedes. His teammates in P4. It's the furthest we've seen him. Abreu clips a little bit of that grass, but the rear end gets all sloppy, but he manages to save it. He's coming round through into turn 10. Wants to get close as he can to that curb before getting on that power into that DRS zone, opening that rear wing, getting on the power straight away into turn 12, which is a really, really tight right-hander. He's going to want to cut the corner a little bit, but not lock up, as he did just lock up as he clept his forward through the off-camber turn 13 down towards turn 14, which is the tight, tricky right-hander with the mid-speed corner of turn 15 coming up behind it. He's want to get as tight as he can so he can get on the DRS as soon as he can. On that DRS, he's coming towards the finishing line. Can he promote himself from P15? P7.
Nice job from the Williams guy. P7, about 5/10 off P1 currently. Yeah, nice lap. That may be enough to guarantee him spot in Q3.
Talk about under pressure. We haven't seen an actual lap time from him there. So P15 it would have been because with no lap time he puts himself last automatically, and but just getting that lap time meant that he can survive.
Yeah, most definitely. And interestingly enough, doesn't look like the top 5 are going to bother to come out and have another go, which is very interesting considering the rest of the field are going to be wanting to get those positions in Q3. So they're risking it slightly, but they are quite a bit faster than the rest of the field. We have to see whether anybody gets caught out by that.
Yeah, Ben Mitchell going for a spin into Sector 1 there. That's going to hamper anyone who's on their out lap, such as Foxhall or Welsh, but good thing he managed to get his lap in, but didn't manage to promote himself. So it looks like Mitchell is out and his teammate is in.
Yeah, that's an interesting one considering the most important battle in your F1 career is with your teammate. You have equal machinery, but yeah, don't think he'll be too happy with that qualifying performance considering his teammate is in P4 currently.
Yeah, and Foxhole, the man in danger, starts his hot lap. Big lock up there into turn 4. He goes down the sweeping left and right of turn 5 and turn 6. He's stuck in the dirty air of one of those Renault cars in front of him. The Renault's going to get out of the way, which is good for Joel. It means he's not going to be stuck in the dirty air, but his rear may be a little bit unsettled from trying to overtake into that corner. He's 3 tenths behind. That would currently put him P5 in front of Dylan Hartley. He comes round into turn 7 and turn 8, hits one of the boards, and he's going to have to back out, I believe.
That is not good news for the Racing Point driver. It's going to be very close to see whether anybody behind him can take that final position in Q3.
Especially with one of the Renaults behind him as well. I think he backed out as well, so luckily for Joel, I think that means he's safe,
Oh,
but
no.
no. P7, Robbie Welsh. Oh my god, yeah, last week's victor. He's going to be proud of himself.
Yeah, again, Robbie Welsh making big news in the paddock, and he has demoted Joel Foxall out of Q3. He will not be getting to Q3 this week, but Robbie Welsh, P7, a nice lap time from him, promoting himself into Q3.
Yeah, him, Abreu, and Middlefelt are the only 3 out on track. Middlefelt, if we go on board with him, he's coming into the pits. So, yeah, that is the end of qualifying 2.
Yeah, an interesting qualifying session. A few things I would say. Obviously, Joel, as we just seen, being demoted out of a Q3 on the very last second. He obviously had a mistake on his flying lap and he couldn't continue. But also, Hanmore P4 is great to see, just 1/10 off pole position. It's going to be a tight one in Q3.
I'm really, really, really interested with Ian Hanmore there. P4, like, there's one thing going from P7 to P4, but then when you go from qualifying P16 like he did last week to P4, that is a statement, and a statement it is for Ian Hanmore. He's going to want to put himself on the front foot for qualifying 3.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to see some new drivers proving themselves in the league. I mean, we all know Ian. He's going to be wanting to do as well as possible in Q3.
And just a few moments to go, folks, before we enter Q3. So stay with us, and welcome if you're joining us again. And welcome, folks. We are back for the start of the qualifying 3 session here at Zandvoort in the Kenco Formula 1 Championship. And what an interesting one it's been so far, and what an interesting one it could be in the future here in qualifying 3. So, yeah, Sam, interesting.
Yeah, it is shaping up to be an interesting Q3 with 4 drivers being 1/10 of pole in Q2. But, you know, Chapman's still in that pole position spot in Q2 and Q1. So at the moment, he's looking like the favourite for it, but we will have to wait and see and whether he can get that perfect lap in and secure pole position this week for the 4th time.
And it would be interesting to see if we did see the Alfa Romeos 1-2 in qualifying 2. First front row lockout, maybe, of the series?
That is definitely a potential. Obviously, we saw Casper Meech in the Alfa Romeo just 2 100s, I believe, behind Chapman. So that's a definite possibility. And looks like the 2 Alfa Romeo guys are very close going down the start-finish straight. So that may be some sort of a team strategy they're trying.
Yeah, every single one out on track except for Hartley and Welsh, I believe, as all the drivers start around turn 15, coming into the start-finish straight. So here's where we start to see the true pace of these drivers on the dries.
Yeah, Q3, you're not going to want to leave anything behind. You're going to leave everything on the track and let your the stopwatch do the talking. You know, Chapman, first guy out, he's got a purple first sector. You wouldn't expect anything less, but his teammate meets just about 2/10 slower.
Yeah, he's gonna come into the tricky breaking point of turn 12. Here we'll see if he goes fastest in sector 2 as well. He does also go fastest in sector 2. He cuts across turn 12 a little bit into turn 13 on that power as soon as he can. Not trying to lose that rear end like most of the cars who have been going through there today have. Rounds turn 14 into turn 15, one of the most tricky mid-speed corners on this track, passing the massive grandstand on that right. Wouldn't you love to be in there? There's a massive grandstand on the left here coming past, and he's going to give him a show because he's going to go provisional pole.
Well, our first 108, and he's 5/10 faster than his teammate. I mean, the time just does the talking. That's crazy.
Robbie Welsh promoting himself to P2. He's only 3/10 behind Chapman, so there's room for improvement. Knopp also going 2/10 behind, so he's now in P2. And one man I'm really interested in is Hanmore. He was P4 in the last session. He's gone about 3/10 behind in this session. That would currently put him P4 again. So let's see if he can improve. He's 4/10 behind now, coming down into turn 14 and turn 15, going round the corner. All the drivers now getting a time. Oh, just narrowly missing the gravel on the inside. He's going to get on the DRS. The rear wing's going to open a little bit late on that DRS there. He's going to pass the line and P5.
Again, another really good effort from the Mercedes driver up in P5, just 7/10 behind the current pole sitter. But yeah, a nice little lap time from him.
Really beautiful to see all of these all of these drivers flesh out into like proper racing drivers. You know, none of this bickering or none of this getting angry because you're not in Q3. It's proper racing from these guys, especially from the ones in Q3.
Yeah, it's great to see that respect we're developing out on track, getting out of the way of people on their hot laps, which we didn't see at the start of the season. But you know that develops with time, and the trust with the drivers gets greater and greater as the season goes on. So, as you say, it's great to see, and we want to encourage that in the league.
And we're joined by the man who we thought would get through easily, but he's unfortunately got knocked out by one of the Renault guys. It's Joel Foxhall of Racing Point. Hello, Joel.
Hello.
Mate, what happened?
Gonna be honest, I really didn't expect anything more. I'm not favoured of Netherlands at all. It's probably one of the tracks I struggle with the most at times. I had a lot of issues around Sector 2 was probably where I struggled the most, and I got blocked 1 or 2 times on my fast lap, so yeah, I wasn't really expecting too much more.
Yeah, just a little bit quiet there, Joel, so if you could be a little bit more louder, that'd be really appreciated. But unfortunate, will you be taking any charges against those who were blocking you? Are you going to try and bring that forward, or are you just going to leave it?
I think I'll leave it, as it wasn't too much. It wasn't enough to make me fully stop my fast lap. It was just that little bit in the corner, getting close to a corner that I need to turn into, and it's just slightly off-putting, but it's not enough really for me to say, hey, they blocked me, I want them to get a penalty. It's not really a sportsman thing to do.
Now, you made it through with ease into Q2, but into Q3, if I was you, I would be thinking, I'm solidly in here. So, how did you feel when you did get knocked out?
I would say I was disappointed. At the same time, it was not something that I was not expecting. I didn't put myself in a good position in the first place, nor did I really show what I can do. I was probably 4 or 5 tenths more in my laps. If I was on a perfect lap for myself, if I was to be in Q3, I wouldn't really be expecting to place high. The drivers are just, I mean, we've got a 108, and that is just something that is very hard to contend at any level. So I think being P11, I get tyre choice, I get a free tyre choice. So I think I'm in a position I'm happy with. I'd say I'm definitely not annoyed with myself.
Was the weather forecast not a wet race though? Would that not throw off the tyre choice argument?
Well, it could be a wet race. It did forecast a wet race. I think it was plus 45 minutes, so obviously it could make things different, and track position on this is so important. It's a lot like Monaco. There's not many overtaking places at all, but I think if you've got good aggression and you know where to look for areas where you can get past the person in front, I think you can use that to an advantage, wet or dry. So it'll be just make it that bit more interesting if it is a wet race.
That's all from me. Sam, anything to add?
Just a quick one from me, obviously putting Q2 aside, but in Q1 you ran that first lap on the mediums. What was your intention with that?
Generally, I wanted to get through on the mediums, which thankfully we did do. I did go out at the end on softs, just as a safety bearer, and I was told by Matt, my engineer, to back out of my lap because I was safe. I don't know if you kept it at the very start. I went out on my intermediate tyres just to really get a feeling for what is sticking to the track and what's not, and I think that helped me quite a lot. So yeah, just me trying to get through mediums, have as many softs as I could for the qualifying and race, which I did in fact use all my softs, so it'll be interesting to see how long I can go on them for the race.
I'm not sure I quite noticed that. Hammer goes P4, but I'm not sure. Sam, did you notice him going out on the inters?
I did not. That's a very unique strategy from the Racing Point team, but maybe one that may prove race winning. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, if it's wet, you know, he's one-upped everybody. He's already had a round on the inters.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Joel.
All right, cinema.
And yeah, that is the man who won the driver of the day at the Bahrain. Sorry, not at Bahrain, at Australia. And he'll probably be looking to win the fans over again here at Zandvoort.
Yes, as you said during his interview, Hanmore up into P4, just 5/10 now behind that incredible 108 lap from Chapman in P1.
Hanmore is really, really impressing today. We haven't seen much qualifying pace from him, but Kenco here, P4.
Yeah, a great effort from Mr. Hanmore in the Mercedes. Obviously, his teammate didn't even get into Q3, so just that battle alone is very impressive.
Yeah, Meech on his outlap, he's currently P5. He will want to go and get that front row lockout. He's told everybody that he feels good. He can compete with his teammate today.
Yeah, I think the two Alpha guys have a very good chance of securing that front row lockout. We saw in Q2 the incredible pace that both the Alphas have, but you know that 108 from Chapman is something else, and it will be very interesting to see whether the sister car of Meech will be able to get into the 108s as well.
Going to be immediately in and immediately out for the drivers who are currently in the pits coming out of their hot lap. There's only 2 minutes left, and they're going to all want to promote themselves up by at least one position. Meech is now starting his hot lap. He is 6/10 behind his teammate. He wants to go less than 4 tenths behind to put himself in the front 2 rows of that grid. But Abreu goes personal best sector 1, 44 seconds through past that DRS zone. Is he going to go personal best sector 2? I believe he will as well. He had personal best sector 2 there, 7 tenths behind. Chapman coming round turn 14 off camber down. 13 on the off camber down to turn 14, which was again off camber down to the long medium speed right hander of turn 15. Is he going to put himself at the moment? He'd put himself P7. Hartley's also on an outlap. So is Meech. So is Wells. So is Knopp. He puts himself P8.
A lot of stuff going out on track right now. These guys are going to want to get their final runs in, but Chapman still in the pits. Doesn't want to go again.
Yeah, Meech is on his tail. He went slower in the first sector, quicker in... personal best in the second sector. He's rounding turn 15. This is the man that's going to want that front row lockout. If he passes the line now, he's not going to have enough time for an outlap, and he puts himself into P4, demoting Ian Hanmore. He's going to want to come out again if he can.
Yeah, that's a shame for Meech. I thought there was a bit more in there, but you know, P4 is still a great time from the Alfa Romeo driver.
And you said that Chapman isn't coming out. Hanmore doesn't look like he's coming out as well, which is interesting. But not one of the first one of the first people to come out again for their third hot lap. He's 2 tenths behind. He's going to look to improve. We're going to go on board with him for his hot lap. Walk me through it, Sam.
Apologies. Yeah, Knopp. He's in P2 currently. He's going to want to be getting that in the bag as he goes through turn 7 here, the interesting right-hander, but coming up to turn 8, it's quite an interesting one. Obviously, you can open the wheel up quite a lot using this exit curb. Up through turn 9, quite a tight right-hander. And turn 10, similar to that, the corners turn 1 and 3 very, very tight left-hander, as most of the corners here are here in Zandvoort, but we're coming up to this trickier chicane here in turn 11. Trying to use as little as the curve as possible. You don't want to be touching that sausage curve coming out of turn 12. Not going to want to get any closer to the barrier than that. Coming through turn 13 here as he approaches this interesting banking corner that brings us onto the start-finish straight, and he's going to be going towards the line, and he stays P2.
Yeah, staying P2. Chapman not coming out again. Welsh is DNF'd. I think he may have retired down into P3. Meach, Hammore, and Shutt not coming out on track. Titan secures P7. Hartley, P9, not good for him. He's coming into the pits. Salaman's also in the pits. The only person who can change it now is Abreu, and he's below his time. So it looks like that's going to be the grid order for you today, boys.
I mean, what shows confidence more than not coming out for your final run in Q3? Chapman P1 with a 108.8. I mean, that is an incredible time from him.
That's his 4th pole position in this championship. That is remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, that is crazy stuff. He is 2/10 ahead of a P2, and a 108 at Zandvoort is just an incredible lap time.
And we'll go and try and get some interviews with the men who did well. We'll go try and get one from the man who was eliminated in Q1, the only person to be eliminated. We'll try and get one with Adam Forbes if we can. So yeah, we'll bear with us, folks, and we'll get that sorted. Thank you. Adam.
Hello.
Mate, unlucky. It looked like you really had the pace today, but it just seemed that you couldn't outpace your teammate.
Yeah, it wasn't what I wanted. Josh did really well today.
It's really, really unfortunate, but do you think you can make it back in the race? Do you think you have the strategy, especially with it turning wet towards the end? Do you think that's going to put you at a bit of an advantage to the other teams from being at the back? Maybe you'll be able to go into the pits a little bit earlier than them, or maybe try a different alternate strategy.
I think I've been thinking about strategy over qualifying because obviously I got knocked out, but I think I have a good strategy.
That's good. That's good. Sam, if you got anything to add, mate?
No, it's obviously unfortunate, Adam, to be the only guy knocked out today, but I'm sure you'll be going ultra aggressive in the race. Do you plan to be racing your teammate with no restrictions, or is there any sort of team orders in place?
Not sure to be honest.
So you think you're just going to race completely freely?
Yeah.
That will be good to see on Sunday.
Yeah.
I think that's it from me.
Yeah, from me as well. Unfortunate, Adam, and I think you can. Yeah, I think we can see and expect something special from you on Sunday.
Yeah.
Good luck, mate.
Thanks.
And we're just gonna go try and get one more interview with the pole sitter, Max Chapman. 4 times already. 4 times. And it doesn't look like he's gonna change, is it?
Well, I mean, thank you for having this interview. I mean, I'm extremely happy again. I'm on pole position, but like last week, I'm a bit nervous for the start tomorrow. Went Sunday's race because, I mean, I've had a few really bad races lately, so I hope I can convert into the win.
And my my colleague here was saying it takes some guts to not go out for that final lap of qualifying, and I think you showed how confident you are by staying in that pit box.
Yeah, I was debating whether to go out, but I decided in the end. I thought my lap was good enough, so I stayed in.
Yeah, well, what was going through your mind when you saw Casper not go personal best in Sector 1 and Sector 2, then just go slower through the final sector?
Yeah, I was quite nervous because I knew that we have similar pace throughout practice runs we did together, but yeah, I'm extremely happy that I got pole.
Unfortunately, we've just forgotten to tell everybody that this is no pertinence to you, Max, but the man who is currently sat in P2, Casper Knopp, he's going to have a drive-through penalty from last week when he breached Parc Ferme rules. So yeah, he'll be starting P2 on the grid, but that'll be good for you, Max, because your closest competitor will have a drive-through immediately on the first 3 laps.
Yeah, that's good, but I'm a bit disappointed for him to be having that penalty because it could have been a good fight tomorrow for the race win.
Yeah, well, like we said, safety cars can make or break races, and I'm sure it's going to be deployed this weekend, so we'll see what happens there. Anything from you, Sam?
No, not anything from me, but again, just great luck, Max. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Max. Now, the Alfa Romeo squad, the one that we've been watching all competition, not able to get that front row lockout, which is the thing that we were hoping on seeing this weekend, because it would have been interesting to see the team strategy that played out and what they would have done. But yeah, that's a good qualifying session from everybody, and from me, that's it.
That is it all from me, and we'll see you on Sunday for an interesting race, no doubt.
See you later, guys. Thank you for attending, and from the Skybox, bye bye.
Goodbye, thanks.